Well, anyway, so we go from Arvo Pärt. Now we're moving into Mussorgsky, the crazy Russian dude who died way too young, but so many of them died way too young. And the pictures at or from, depending on how you translate Russian, pictures at an exhibition. And of course, the exhibition is that of his fellow Russophile, of course, who had a German name, Hartmann, but maybe he wanted to change that. But anyway, he had died. So well known as a piano composition, and so well known as a orchestral composition, thanks to Maurice Ravel, and of course he wasn't the only one. Now, okay, here's the tough question for you. Yeah. You only had a few minutes to put everything together for this. Oh, but two questions for you.
Yeah.
So, why the choice? You had to do the promenade, da da dee da da da.
Yes,
so you had to do that, and you had to do the first crazy one, and then you had to do the last crazy one. Well, and then you had to do Baba. Well, I guess that answers it. You had to do Baba Yaga, who leads into the last one, but. What allows you choice for you to have to make which ones to excise and which ones to incorporate?
It was a very difficult decision because I was thinking about the musicians, the variety of styles that would be rewarding for them to play and give the audience something rather than just a certain type of music. For example, there are a lot of fast movements in this. The Tuileries and the chickens, there are all of these which are great pieces.
Yeah, they are.
But I've realized when I first did it, I had too much music. The concert would have been well over an hour, and then I said, I have to cut it down even more. So I said, we have to keep the Old Castle because that's the most lyrical, simplistic painting of the bunch.
Really? Oh, cool.
And I think when I say simplistic, I don't mean
no, you don't.
It's not a bad thing. But the other pieces have a busier character, if you will. You think about the gnome.
Yeah.
And the gnome is very awkward, and it's very fast, and it's very
kind of wicked
dramatic.
In a lot of ways. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So then the Old Castle though is very tonal. It's supposed to depict a singing troubadour. And it's like a folk song in a way because the cellos play a repeated G-sharp ostinato.
Totally all the way through.
Yes,
right.
yes. And it's supposed to almost represent, it's supposed to represent, I think, like a bagpipe in a way.
Yeah, right, sure.
And then Baba Yaga, you have to have Baba Yaga, the witch, which is really exciting cinematic music. And the Great Gate of Kiev is the most majestic grand music in the repertoire, I think.
Yeah. So the setting you chose was written by or arranged by Patterson.
That's right.
Can you tell us about that and why?
I discovered this arrangement just a few months ago. I wasn't familiar with Robert Patterson at all. My understanding is Robert Patterson has arranged a lot of well-known works for strings. And he's a composer himself.
For strings.
Yeah, and actually not only strings, but like mixed ensembles, like bigger works for smaller ensembles, which is great during this time of COVID. He's probably making a lot of money right now.
Oh, I guess so.
But this work in particular, I think works well for strings, because let me tell you something. If we were to do the Ravel orchestration,
no.
the string, we can't do it now, but that piece doesn't involve as much music for the strings, meaning they don't always get the melody. Here they have the opportunity to shine. They get what the woodwinds would typically get, or what the brass would usually get, and they're playing that material now. And I told the orchestra last night, I said, if you were expecting the Maurice Ravel orchestration, well, that's not what this is. This is you playing what the solo flute would have had, or the solo trumpet would have had, and they're really excited, I think, to explore that.
Oh, good. Yeah. Well, of course, Ravel was a great instrumentalist and knew what to do with all the instruments, and that's why that and his take on Mussorgsky was, well, I think it's the best. I mean, there's a bunch of others, right? But I think for good reason it has come down to be the standard, and he's a great instrumentalist. But okay, I look forward to hearing this. I had never heard this.
And I just want to add that during this performance, we're going to have a projection screen above the orchestra, and what I did was I invited local artists to submit artwork for this piece. So I said, listen to these recordings and create a piece of art that reflects your emotions or feelings to this music. So what we're going to see is, while we're performing this work, you're going to see different drawings, different paintings, different watercolor portraits, whatever you want, you'll see it, and you're going to hear how these artists hear this music.
Sure.
So I think, or you're going to see how they hear it. So I think this should be really neat and exciting, hopefully, for the audience, and it's a way to connect with our community.
Oh, that's